Good morning, dear students. I am Ms. Navida Sheikh from Brahan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika MCGM virtual class. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. In today's session, we'll be learning something new and interesting from a science textbook. So let's get started. Good morning, dear students. I am Ms. Navida Sheikh. We'll be starting with a new and an interesting chapter in today's class. And today's session, we'll be learning life processes in living organism part 1. Now this chapter is very interesting because we will be learning about the processes that help the living beings to sustain themselves. Okay, and this is what is called as life processes. Now there are various organ systems that we have already learned. That is like digestive system, respiratory system, circulatory system, excretory system, nervous system, endocrine system. Now along with the system internal organs involved, there are external organs like your mouth, nose, heart, kidneys, brain, pancreas. These are the main organs which are present internally also, and some are outside, which are helping each other to perform your life processes smoothly and perfectly. Now, there's a question that how are the foodstuffs that you eat and their nutrients contents useful for the body? Like here you have seen that there are so many different processes, life processes that takes place in your body, and how are they actually useful? Let us see that. Now there is a process that you have learned about digestive system. In this system, you with the help of your mouth, you eat food and it goes into your esophagus. From there, it goes into your stomach. With the help of the digestive juices that are present, the food gets it gets broken down and it gets simplified and it gets into your small intestine, large intestine, and then it comes out. All the waste product comes out in the form of the urine or stools from your body. So, the body needs variety of following 5 nutrients, that is proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins and minerals. And from the food that you eat, in order to stay healthy and productive, protein is needed to build and maintain your entire muscular system, blood, skin and bones and other tissues and organs in the body. Now, as you can see here, there is everything that is essential and healthy on the table, and this is what we call it as a balanced diet. Now, what is the importance of balanced diet for the body? Why is it always said that you should eat the food which is cooked at home and you should eat everything that is made? You should eat your leafy vegetables, you should eat whatever is available and healthy apart from the things that you eat from roadside. Now, it is important to have a balance. Now, as you see here, this is a picture of a circulatory system. Now, what is the role of circulatory system in energy production? As we said that there are various organs and organ system present in our body which are helping our body to run smoothly. Now, out of that, one is circulatory system. Now, the circulatory system, it involves the heart. Now, this cardiovascular system does not produce energy. It only allows the transport of energy-rich substances like glucose, fatty acids, and other. How are the various processes occurring in human body control? Now, as we learned that there are various organs and organ systems which are performing various activities. But these organs, how are they controlled and who controls it? So you have a nervous system, right? This nervous system is it controls all the various processes occurring in our body. That is called as the CNS or central nervous system along with hormones. Each life process contributes in its own way. Now your energy production, for energy production, as I told you that each and every organ system is important, like skeletal system, you have digestive system, you have respiratory system, you have circulatory system, nervous system, endocrine system, muscular system. All these systems are helping each other in order to provide energy from the cells, and in the cells you have mitochondria, which are responsible for energy production. Now, as I told you that the human body comprises of many organ systems, and the few examples that we have is digestive system, respiratory system, circulatory system, excretory system, nervous system, reproductive system, muscular system, etc. Now, living organism and life processes. Now, let us understand more about all the living organism and their life process. Now, various organ systems are continuously performing various functions in your body, like movement, respiration, growth, excretion, reproduction. Okay, so this all processes, life processes that is happening in your body, along with various systems like digestive system, circulatory system, excretory system and control system, different external and internal organs. Now, as you can see here, this image is of a plant where it is showing you how the plant is producing glucose in the presence of sunlight by performing photosynthesis. We have learned that plants are autotrophs, means they can prepare their own food. And that is the reason we need to study them every year, because it helps us to understand why are they so important. Now plants, as I told you, they are autotrophs. They can prepare their own food with the help of photosynthesis because they have chlorophyll present in them. The nutrients that we consume, and apart from us, even other organisms like cow, buffaloes, etc., they also consume the products that are available from the plants, like carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Now, when we talk carbohydrates, you get it from milk, fruits, jaggery, sugarcane, honey, cereals, sweet meat, sweet potatoes and vegetables. Same way, about different food items that you normally eat in your house, like noodles, and you have fried rice, apples, grapes, muffins, cookies, juices, water, milk. All these are providing with some of the other type of nutrients in your body. Okay, like carbohydrates, fiber, fats, proteins. So we obtain the carbohydrates from milk, fruit, jaggery, sugarcane, vegetables, potatoes, sweet potatoes, cereals like wheat, maize, rice. And nutrients, as I told you, that carbohydrates and fats are very important in order to supply you with energy, in order to produce energy in your body. Now, when I talk about carbohydrates, sugar, honey, and cereals we'll consider, and when we talk about fats, we will talk about oil, uh, ghee, butter, etc. Now, in your cell, these carbohydrates are let inside, okay, through, and there's a process which goes on, which helps to produce energy, and they supply it to your. Now, remember that all living things perform respiration, whether unicellular like amoeba, multicellular, whether amphibians, aquatic, or humans. We all require oxygen for breathing purpose. Then here you have this picture of your respiratory system, right? So automatically things become clear that what I'm going to ask you. Now, what is respiration? How does it occur? The answer is very simple. All living things need a constant supply of energy. Respiration is a process of releasing energy through the breakdown of nutrients such as glucose. It occurs through a process called as cellular respiration. Okay, so these are important things that you need to remember. Now, respirations are of two types. They occur in your body in two ways. First is body level and the other is cellular level. When I talk about body level, it is related to the breathing process that we're talking about. We move on to the next part of the chapter, that is living organism and energy production. So when I talk about living organism, all living organism, including us, plants and animals, we're talking about them. Every living organism needs energy for doing various activities. Okay. So how is this energy produced? Now when you take in oxygen, along with the oxygen which you are taking in, is mixed with the nutrients that is produced during the digestive system, and it goes into your cells. Over there, there is mitochondria, that is the powerhouse of the cell, which releases certain energy molecules which are useful to us. Okay, so we'll be learning about that also in detail in the coming slides. Now remember that in living organisms, respiration occurs at two levels. First is body and cellular level. Now, so here over this in this picture, you can see this is the first type of respiration that occurs in our body, that is the body respiration, body level. Now, how many atoms of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen are present respectively in a molecule of glucose? When you have a look at a glucose molecule, you will come to know that it has C6H12O6, okay, as its chemical formula. And we have learned this. So the glucose formula has derived the formula is C6H12O6. It has hydrogen and oxygen, which is in the ratio of 2:1, and totally 6 atoms. Let's continue ahead. The next question we have is, in terms of chemistry, what happens actually when a molecule is oxidized? Now, when I talk about oxidization, I would like you all to look at this picture where this apple is getting oxidized. Means its shape is changing, it is shrinking. Now, let's understand in detail about oxidation. Oxidation occurs when a molecule loses an electron or increases its oxidation state. When a molecule oxidizes, it loses energy. So here you can have a look at this image. Now we come on to the next type of respiration, that is cellular respiration. Now when we talk about cellular respiration, the word itself means cell. When the respiration occurs in the cell, that is called a cellular respiration. Now all living organisms, animals, plants, everybody, they undergo respiration process. Okay, in that what do? Is they take in all the glucose that they have, that they prepared or eaten up, and it gets broken down in the in each and every cell. And so here in this image you can see a cow. It's trying to eat grass. Now this grass will be converted into glucose. It will be broken down and it will get converted into glucose, which will be utilized by each and every cell to produce energy. Okay, it will reach into the cell, and in the cell it will go to the mitochondria, and mitochondria will start processing it, and hence cellular respiration occurs. Okay, so mitochondria is very important when we talk about cellular respiration. In case of respiration at cellular level, foodstuffs are oxidized either with or without the help of oxygen. Means they either need oxygen or they do not need oxygen. Okay, there are some organisms. Now, cellular respiration is of two types: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration involves the use of oxygen, means it will happen in the presence of oxygen, whereas anaerobic respiration occurs in the absence of oxygen. So oxygen is not involved in anaerobic respiration. Okay, so these are a few things that we need to remember, because in the coming period that we'll be learning, we will be using these words again and again. So you need to have a clear idea about it. We'll be learning few more interesting things. Till then, thank you.
Aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Living organisms need energy for their life processes. Energy is produced in the cells of the body. Cell may use oxygen for this purpose. In that case, the respiration is said to be aerobic respiration. However, cells can also produce energy without using oxygen. In such case, the respiration is anaerobic respiration. Let's understand more about aerobic respiration. Basically, it takes place at two levels, at body level and at cellular level. At body level, the exchange of gases takes place with the help of lungs, that is, oxygen is taken inside the body and carbon dioxide is released out of the body. Oxygen is transported to cells of the body through the blood pumped by the heart. At cellular level, the aerobic respiration involves three steps. Glycolysis. A 6-carbon molecule, glucose, is oxidized in cytoplasm to produce two molecules, each of the pyruvic acid, ATP, NADH2 and water. Pyruvic acid is converted into acetyl coenzyme A, which produces two molecules, each of NADH2 and CO2. NADH2 is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Tricarboxylic acid cycle. The acetyl-CoA enters in the mitochondria, where cyclic chain of reactions called tricarboxylic acid cycle or Krebs cycle acts on it. At the end of the cycle, molecules of CO2, H2O, NADH2, FADH2 are produced. FADH2 is flavin adenine dinucleotide. Electron transfer chain reaction. The molecule of NADH2 and FADH2 undergo electron transfer chain reaction so as to form 3 molecules of ATP from each NADH2 and 2 molecules of ATP from each FADH2 molecules. Molecules of water also get formed in this reaction. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate and is a molecule in which energy is stored in the phosphate bonds. As per the requirement, energy is produced by breaking these bonds and thus adenosine triphosphate gets converted into adenosine diphosphate. In case of insufficient amount of carbohydrates, the lipids are converted into fatty acids and proteins into amino acids, which are then converted into acetyl-CoA, and the energy is produced in the earlier way, that is, through Krebs cycle in mitochondria. Another way of producing energy is without using the oxygen, which is called anaerobic respiration. Let's talk about that. The two main steps in anaerobic respiration are glycolysis and fermentation. In glycolysis, glucose is completely oxidized into pyruvic acid, producing 2 ATP molecules. The second step is fermentation. It takes place in different ways. In yeast, formation of pyruvic acid using enzyme produces alcohol. In microbes, fermentation of pyruvic acid produces different organic acids like vinegar, vitamins, etc. During exercise or energy demanding activities, energy is produced by fermentation of pyruvic acid in the muscle cells. It produces lactic acid. Because of accumulation of lactic acid, we feel tired. Glucose is transported throughout the body through bloodstream. But in case of high energy demanding activities, the level of glucose reduces. In such case, our body produces energy from stored sources of carbohydrates, proteins and lipids. Basically, excess of carbohydrates produced in the body are converted into complex chain of glucose called glycogen and stored in liver and muscles. Whenever required, it is used as source of energy. Proteins are chain of amino acids. 1 gram of protein can produce about 4 kilocalories of energy. Lipids are the substances formed by bonding between fatty acids and alcohol. Lipids can produce 9 kilocalories of energy per gram. Excess of lipids are stored in adipose connective tissue. I hope you have got good information on the topic. Thanks for watching this video.
If you liked our video, please subscribe to our channel and do not forget to hit the like button.
Hope this session was quite useful to you. In the next coming period, we'll learn something new and interesting. Till then, thank you.